a great deal of success the 2 years that I've been working for the company that I work for.
Yeah.
And now launching this endeavor, Race Talks Uncut. I'm a leadership developer. I'm a leadership builder by nature.
Got it.
Like I understand that I've been called to teach and impart wisdom and knowledge on individuals. I do the research, I do the reading, I have the conversations, I enter the conferences, and then I come back and I share knowledge.
Got
And
it.
I've been gifted enough to be able to teach and articulate a certain message in a creative way that's understanding. But I do
Mhm.
work full time well while I continue to build my empire. And stepping out and having race talks uncut, courageous conversations surrounding everything that's going on in the world. It took me, it's taken me on the journey because sometimes you stop and you say, how people are going to perceive me. How
Sure.
are they going to receive this? Is
Yeah.
this going to jeopardize what I've built in this particular space
Sure.
while I'm now pursuing my passions over here, right? And
That's
you
right.
didn't wrestle with that.
That's right.
But I tell those who have asked me, like, man, how do you deal with that? I say, well, I understand that when there's a heart tug and there's something that you wrestle with at night, and there's something that you wrestle with when you wake up in the morning and you're eating your breakfast, and your spouse or your friends kind of call your name and you were zoned out, and you go
Mhm.
back to that moment about what you was thinking about. When you have that drawing, like, you gotta go with it. You got
Mhm.
because there's something that the world doesn't see. There's something that the world, there's something that is now being placed inside of you that is going
Yeah.
to impact something beyond you. Spirit, I'll say like that, go with it. So that's where I'm at
Got it.
right now, and
That makes
taking that
sense.
courageous step. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, the thing about that is it's needed. That's the
Mhm.
bottom line. It's definitely needed. It's necessary. For me, I am, there's a lot of things that I internalize, and I'm just learning.
Okay.
Even from this conversation, I've, within the last 2 minutes, I've already learned that it's not going to help me to internalize because I can implode if I don't get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what I'm hearing. It's like when you have and when you have that thing that's pulling at you, like you said, um, if you don't get it out, then you kind of miss out on the destiny of someone else who needs to hear you.
There you go. There you
I
go.
got it. I
That's,
I got
yeah.
that. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So I want to start off, man, just by welcoming you to the show. I'm gonna do my little intro, and then this topic today was just talking about leaders go first. So how relevant is this? As far as this,
Oh,
I am just excited about this. Hold on one second. I want to check something. Hold on a sec, buddy,
go right ahead.
because I see. I'm hearing a little skipping and freezing, and I'm on this talking about uh you know pivoting. Last
Mhm.
week my 6-year-old MacBook Pro laptop that's been my trusty friend's screen decided to take a dive. Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, he had been I can't complain. He hadn't been complaining at all, and I've been pushing 4K through him for 6 years. So I can't I can't even front. I listen, bro. I'm taking you. I took him right to the shop. I let him sit, let him put on his and I said, listen, if y'all gonna charge me more than what a laptop costs, don't even play that game
Don't
with
even
me.
worry
I'm an
about it.
IT
Yeah.
person, 30 years. Don't do it to me. Don't hurt yourself. Just give it back. I'll
Go ahead and
find
do your
I'll
diagnostic and
yeah,
send
just
it
give
back.
it
Right.
back. Just give it back. I'll do what I gotta do. Okay, I think
Yeah, man. I'm sure in your realm of work, what you do, man, you're maxing out all of your gadgets and electronics.
I have to. The thing is like I am not that. And the thing is, my wife, she laughs at me when I go to the store because she says, "Why don't you just tell the man that you already know?" Because he go into his
Oh,
spiel, and
yeah.
and but I'm a leader. I'm working on my listening, so I'm gonna listen.
Absolutely. We got to
Um,
be able to do both.
but when I need to make a friend right now. I'm in my Halloween friends and influence people right now. I need a friend right now. So the best way to get a friend is listen to the man, even though you know what he's gonna
Yeah.
say.
What you're doing
Validate
is
that
you're
man.
you're empowering him and you're allowing him to be
Absolutely.
validated in knowing his job and knowing his stuff.
There you go.
I've
Hey,
been there.
That's it. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna listen to the man, and once I get that friendship going, he said, "Man, he didn't cut me off. That's right. I'm working on
Right.
myself,
There you
and
go,
I
man.
got
That's
a
so
friend, and
important.
now I said, "Oh, by the way, man, that was a great job. You did that, but A B C D E F G, blah blah." He said, "Oh, okay. You need to talk to him." But
It's
he
like,
gets
"Oh,
me
you."
right to the man.
He knows. That's awesome, man. Yeah,
That's
because you
good.
gotta think about empowering others and building those relationships, which is, something I teach. One of the
Yep.
frameworks for my leadership
Okay.
network is relational leadership. There's times I'll have a conversation with individuals and they're getting ready to share something that I am familiar with, and I
Sure.
probably could speak to it just as well as they can. But you
Yeah.
see when they come with that level of excitement to share
Mhm.
something with you, you
Right.
gotta let them get it out and then engage with them and have the conversation. Don't stop them because you already know where they're going, to
Yeah,
let them
man.
know how much you already know, because
Yeah.
you're building up their level of confidence. But you're also, like you say, you're building a relationship, whether it's just for that moment and you never talk to
Mhm.
them again,
That's right. That's
or if
right.
it's somebody that you'll have an encounter with multiple times moving forward. So
That's
you're a
true.
wise man, Fred. You're a wise man and a great
But
leader.
but listen, man, I learned it with my wife.
Uh,
It works,
Lessons
but
in leadership from marriage.
exactly. And I'm still learning. I ain't got it perfect, but I did notice that because I kinda recognize this thing don't only work with this leadership stuff, it work with your wife, brother.
Absolutely.
Shut your mouth
Absolutely.
and let her talk. So that's good. So,
Absolutely.
I told her I was about to get some coffee. I said, "I'll get some coffee." She said, "I'll make it for you." She said, "You talking to Charles? You tell Charles is done." And I said, "Hey." So she'll be
Man, we
popping in
love
a
you
second.
guys, man. We
So I
do.
got my little opening, man, and then I'm gonna kind of dive in. I want you to talk about yourself a little bit, man. And I started this second podcast because my background's in media. And by the way,
Mhm.
I got a question. You got a lot of media stuff in there, man. Is that your background too, or did you just started getting into it because of what you've been doing with the podcast and stuff?
Yeah, so you kinda discovered talents along the way, man,
Yeah,
and as I got into doing my video podcast, and earlier this year, it's evolved so much so that because we wanna bring a certain level of excellence, right, as
sure.
leaders,
Yeah.
I'm researching how to get the best, production at home when it comes to your studio setup,
Very
lighting,
nice.
volume,
Yeah.
the visual effects, your background. I mean, and so that it started there,
Right.
so much so I'll say within the last 10 months, I've been called upon about 4 times to do audio video consulting, and now
Look at
folks are
that.
paying me, brother, to help them set up their, home studios and stuff, and I'm getting ready to go and shoot this weekend a promo video for my son's athletic trainer. That wasn't something that was in the cards for me just 10 months ago.
That is amazing. I
But
love
when you
that,
have a
man.
sense of excellence in you and you wanna do everything to the best of your ability and put forth a great product, you learn along the way, but you also
Yeah.
discover hidden talents that you didn't even know, and even passions, because I love it now. Everywhere I go, I got a camera with me. Everywhere I go, I got a little DJI Pocket Pro with me, doing video footage, and that evolved over the last 10 months.
So you got bit with the bug.
Got bit with the bug, brother. Now I'm not going all in. I have my limits. I'm not
Okay,
gonna
you
try
have your
and do it
limits,
all.
okay.
I still call on
Okay.
professionals for certain things, but yeah,
Right. That your work and everything sounds great. It looks awesome, man. I'm a little old, man. I'll be 50 tomorrow.
come on, brother.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
man.
know that.
All
Look
right.
at
So
you,
my
sitting
wife
over there.
is
That's one of those things when you look good at 50, you don't mind telling people. Come on, Fred. When you look good at 50, you don't mind saying I'm 50.
you know what I'm saying? You see I slid out like that. My wife said the same thing. And so it's interesting because I've been in the media for 30 years.
Wow. Okay.
And as far as the film piece, I started doing hey mama, I got Charles here. Just he can hear you. Just
Hi, Charles.
Hey there, sis.
he said, "Hey sis."
Oh, I can't wait to hear this interview.
Oh yeah,
Oh, man.
we ain't started yet. You know how we get. So that's good. Okay, thanks, babe. I appreciate it. All right. So let me go ahead and get started because I want to save all this for this. Here we go. Okay, good. Perfect. This coffee smells good, brother. I love it being married. I tell you that. That ain't no joke. Even okay. Welcome to this Time to Lead podcast where leaders come together to grow and get better. I'm your host, Fred Fitzgiles, and I'm excited to have a great friend of mine who I met through my wife, him and his amazing wife as well. And online, tell you the truth, he's doing some incredible things. He's a speaker. He is a leadership developer. He's a social activist and the founder of the Relational Leadership Network. My man, Charles Edward Jackson II. What's going on, man?
Hey, my brother. How you
It's
doing?
kind of weird
man?
being on the other side, ain't it?
It is. You never get used to, watching somebody do their spiel. You're like, oh, wow, that's good. Wait, you're talking about me. I got to get ready. It's
get
my
ready.
cue coming up because I'm usually the one doing what you just did.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I learned to reduce it because I was doing on my other show. You learn through. I've been podcasting for 6 years, actually, tell you the truth. And you just learn that this world is like 2 seconds long, by the way. So you got to scale it down and jump right in, So
Yeah, man.
first of all, man, I just appreciate you. I appreciate our online friends. So I can't wait to this stuff is over. We can actually meet in person, man. You and your phenomenal wife, and I'm just excited, man. So just tell the people about the back, just give me a little background about what you are and who. As I say, what you are.
Yeah.
And who
Absolutely.
you are, and
Absolutely.
your background. Talk. Go ahead and brag on yourself a little bit, bro.
Yeah, man. So I am a Marine. I am a husband. I'm a father, 2 sons. I am a leadership developer. I am a marriage coach and mentor. But ultimately, I am a person who is on a journey,
Mhm.
right, to discover my purpose and my place here in life, but in society. Um, those things that I've been called and assigned to do, and it's not just one thing. I'm noticing that it evolves and it changes. So as I pursue my passion and I hone in on my skills and I find those points where my gifts and abilities intersect with somebody else's need, I put them to work
Got
with
it.
with sincerity, with excellence. That's who I am, right? I'm a man of faith, and I'm a man who is a firm believer of relationships,
Amen.
and that's why I'm truly thankful for our relationship, how it started, and what it's evolving to. And I'm truly humbled that you would reach out and say, "Hey, we definitely want to have you on the show," because it just speaks to the importance of building relationships. Because you've had a chance to get to know me, who I am, and what I stand for, and you know that I will fit within the framework of your brand
Yes,
that
sir.
you've built. Not 6 years, but 30 years,
Right, I
right?
know, right?
And be able to speak and share to your network. And so
Sure.
I'm truly grateful for the opportunity. So that's who I am.
That's awesome.
I lead the Relational Leadership Network, as well as You Before Me, which is our marriage and family mentoring and coaching platform that my wife and I lead together.
That's all. Shout out to your wife, Ronetta, man. Appreciate it, man. I said the name right?
Yeah, Zanette, man. My wife
Ronetta, excuse me,
Zanette,
Ronetta.
14 years now, from the island of Jamaica. So,
Jamaica, shout out, booyah.
mangoes and jerk chicken.
Shout out to Zanetta. I appreciate that. I
Yeah,
appreciate her as well. Also, I want to just say officially thank you for your service, brother, as a Marine. Oh, I'm gonna put it in there.
Thank you. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was
That's
strong.
good.
Either the mic picked it up or you just brought that from the belly.
Yeah, this is no effects. This is no hands.
No.
I had no effects on that one. So are you an only child, man? Tell me about how you grew up and what some
Yeah,
of the values
so
that you learned.
I grew up in a home. I have 2 older brothers and I
Okay.
have 2 younger sisters. So I was kind of in the middle. And growing up, in Daytona Beach, Florida is where I grew up until I was
Wow.
25 when I left for the Marine Corps.
Nice.
And my mom and dad were in the home, and so I had a pretty, I guess, normal, as you will, upbringing. I learned a lot of things from my upbringing because I had the dynamics of a strong, spiritual, faithful, devout mom, Christian believer. And then I had my dad, who was kind of, he he went to church every now and then, and
That's like my dad.
kind of like that. And so my mom will be giving us that spiritual advice, or my
Right.
dad over here saying, "Look, do this," and it's like totally opposite of what my mom said. So you had those dynamics playing
Yeah.
out. But I grew up in a loving home. I grew up in a caring home. and I'm truly thankful for my upbringing. I know 100% that the example my dad gave me, that leadership in home leadership, that was
Mhm.
my first real example of a leader. Was my father leading our home, and even
Mhm.
though, like I say, him and my mom, they were very different. My dad was courageous. My dad was, if he told you he was going to do something, he was going to do it.
Got it.
If he told you he was going to be somewhere, he was going to be there. He was extremely selfless in the sense that he was kind of this self-taught shade tree mechanic, but he could do electrical work. He
Mm.
could do roofing. He could do it all. He drove around with tools for just about every job in his van,
My
tow
goodness.
ropes. And I said, Dad, we got all of this equipment and stuff in here. Why? He said, because you never know when you'll be driving around and somebody may be broke down on the side of the road, or somebody may need some assistance with doing something on their house. And I got the tools and ability to do it. And I want to be able to help. Not
Mm.
looking for money or anything, and so I saw that in
Wow.
him, and so I think that's where my service to others really
Sure.
started, because I saw him. I can't tell you how many times I'm under a vehicle trying to hook up a rope, and if it's an old woman who he felt like couldn't steer the car while he pull it, I would be the one in the driver's seat at 13,
Wow.
14, while my dad pulls this woman's car home for her, right? And I saw that,
Mm.
and so, yeah, that was leadership to me
Yeah,
in the
man.
sense of that aspect of caring for others. So that was my upbringing, man.
Wow, that is incredible, man. It's and that's the seed that was planted into you. So it's kind of hard for you to go anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? As far as
Yeah,
path wise, although there's a lot of influences out there.
yeah.
Talk about your mom a little bit.
Yeah, and then mom, like I say, she drug us to church. If the doors were open, we were there. One of them,
Did you have to
if there
sing
was,
in the choir? None of that.
oh man, I was just looking at pictures the other day. She sent me of me and my cousin coming down the aisle at church, getting ready to sing in the youth choir.
Oh well, look at that. That's
You had to
nice.
be there and you had to
Sure.
participate.
Right.
And I did it without hesitation
Yeah.
for years.
Mm.
And she prayed over us every morning. She had us pray. That type of mom where
Mm.
if anything went wrong, the first thing she did was pray.
Mm.
Prime example, my sister, I had went on a trip and she probably was about 8 or 9, and I had been gone for a while, and she was excited to see me when I got home. And she was across the street when she saw me get out of the car, and she took off across the road to come and greet me. And she was hit by a truck,
Wow.
tossed many, many feet across the
Mm.
road, landing in this puddle of water,
Right.
and was just lifeless, motionless, not moving, not crying or anything.
Mm.
My mom ran out, scooped her up, had her in her arms, and is calling her name, Cherish, Cherish, and she's not responding. Cherish, Cherish, she's not responding. And all of a sudden, she just started praying. And my mom was
Right.
praying 4 minutes, 5 minutes, still no motion. And she just kept praying and speaking life.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, my sister's eyes popped open, right? And she got up and just came to.
Jesus.
By now, police and ambulance are all around us, and they're pulling my mom, trying to get my sister, and they're like, man, we need to check her out. And my sister is okay at this point. Like, there's
Mm.
nothing wrong with her. You turn around and you look at the truck that hit her. The front of the truck completely smashed in. This big old dent. His hood
My
literally smashed in
goodness.
from where the impact of hitting my sister was at
Wow.
8 or 9 years old.
What? Oh my goodness. 8 or
W
9.
Went to the hospital, Fred, no broken bones, no internal bleeding,
My God.
nothing, nothing. One, because my mom always prayed ahead of time that we're covered,
Sure.
but in that moment, I feel like whatever internal damage had taken place, if my sister had lost her life in that moment, like I say, I don't think my mom checked for a pulse. There was just no life in her body,
Right,
but she
right.
prayed for a good 4 or 5 minutes, what it seemed like, until my
Mm,
sister came back too. So
mm.
that's mom and that's dad, and I think
My
both of those
goodness.
experience with my parents have shaped me.
Wow, that is what an amazing story. Your sister is definitely a miracle, but also it for those who don't believe in prayer, prayer
Mhm,
works no matter
mhm.
how long it takes. And she just relied on her faith, the immediate that immediate type of faith that there was no other option. And
Yeah,
that's what I've learned. And that's a great foundation, man. What are
yeah,
what are what are three things that you struggled with when you was a young guy that you had to
mhm,
overcome?
yeah. So definitely I struggled with, I grew up and I had this dichotomy of my parents and the way they were raising me with morals and ethics and values and how to treat people.
Yeah,
And even though I didn't grow up, my house wasn't in the projects,
sure.
but I grew up on a corner street, and after the 6 houses down, the project started.
Okay,
And
got
so
it.
a lot of my time was spent in the projects, right?
Mhm, mhm.
That's where my friends were at. That's where I
Yep,
grew up. So I
yep.
saw the drugs, I saw the violence, I saw the gang activity. I saw all of that. But
Mhm,
then you have my house where my mom is teaching me everything to not get into those things. And so I
mhm,
struggled with identity in the beginning, with
mm.
trying to figure out which crowd I needed to fit in. And
Sure.
and and when I would try to curse, it didn't feel
Right.
right,
It didn't
right?
feel right.
Or when I would try to be that tough guy that's walking around breaking windows, it didn't
Right,
feel right.
right.
But
Didn't
that's
feel
what I
right.
was
Yeah, yeah.
around. That's what I saw.
Sure.
That was kind of the impact that group or that environment was having on me.
Mhm.
And then I go to school, even though there was a school right behind me. We got shipped off to a public school, that was a great distance from us, predominantly white school, and I wrestled with identity in the sense of not everybody looks like me and not everybody
Oh.
treats me fairly, it seems. And I'm in third, fourth grade figuring this out. So
Mm.
really early on, I would say I definitely wrestled with this sense of identity of who I was going to be, what type
Mhm,
of a person I was going to be. Was it going to be what mom was raising me to be? Was it going to be what
mhm.
these streets were raising me to be? Was it going to be based on my perception of how the world viewed me based on going to that predominantly
Right.
white school? So identity.
Right, I think it was the
Um,
biggest struggle. Was there
mhm.
anything that you had to latch on to outside of mom, outside of the what you saw down the street that would help you to kind of pull that together and shape it? That's
Yeah.
not your natural parents, something that third party.
Absolutely. So around third grade, a teacher actually,
Ah, got
which
it.
is going to be my mission to find her,
Oh,
Miss Linda Sue Lowry.
all
So
right.
now as I'm kind of acting out because I'm going against what mom wants me to do,
Sure.
and I'm trying to be cool, and I'm trying to be tough, and I'm trying to figure this thing out. She met me around third grade. I was in her class, man, and she got me into reading and writing poetry. First of all, she saw something in me,
Mm,
right, that no other teacher before her had saw
yeah.
because she gave me a certain amount of attention that they didn't. And she came into my life and she wouldn't allow me to be the person that slacked off, the student that didn't
Mm,
care. She wouldn't allow me to be the one that's agitating others and being disruptive and
right.
not, she got me into reading poetry. And then that turned into writing poems. And I
Wow.
fell in love with reading and writing poems when I was in the third grade, so much so that there was a city council meeting in Volusia County and they needed a special guest to come in and like kick things off. And she
Yeah.
orchestrated me in the third grade to go to this big old school board meeting and recite one of the poems that I had
Oh,
memorized.
look at
And
that.
my mom is there. And that's one of those moments that I'll never forget because before that, I had an opportunity to do anything like that. And my
Okay.
mom is in the audience. I'm sitting at this table with all of these prominent board members, and I got a placard with my name on it. I'm sitting on a stool because they can't see me because I'm so little. There was a step for me to stand on at the podium, and
Yeah.
Miss Lowry is there standing in the corner. She's just smiling at me. And
Mm,
I opened up my mouth, man, and I recited this poem, I Care, I Am, I Do Believe. And at the end of it, everybody was cheering and clapping for me.
mm,
That moment of care, of seeing how much she believed in me, that
mhm.
really helped me to come into now find out who I am and not
I
just
see.
that was that moment for me.
Yeah.
If I have to describe one, I'll give you one. Yeah.
Wow,
So
wow,
I'm
what
a
good.
finder because I want to thank her and I want to connect with her and let
Now,
her
what was
see
the
the
name of the
man that
school so maybe we can find her, man,
I
if
was
people are
going to
listening?
Spruce Creek Elementary, Spruce Creek
Spruce Creek
Elementary in Port
Elementary,
Orange, Florida. And
Port
I've been
Orange, Florida.
searching, Linda Sue Lowry, but there's so many pop up, right? So
Right.
I'm gonna have to get some paid service to even locate her.
Well, if you are listening, Linda Sue Lowry, to the
Yeah,
show, you got
Charles
Charles E.
Jackson.
Jackson over
I'm trying
here.
to find you.
He's all grown up now. He all grown up now, but he's looking for you. So definitely, definitely. Oh, that's good. So let's take me into high school, man. Were you in the sports or?
Yeah, so always been athletic, man. Part of the trouble that I got into when I was younger was
Let me
running and
stop you for a
flipping and
second.
jumping
I
everywhere.
saw them
Yeah.
push-ups you was doing, buddy, on the video the other day. Oh, the pull-ups, set. Those are sick. I could get 3 up, and I'm like, you doing 10 like my one. I was just like, oh, this guy's just doing his thing, man. So that
So
was big for you, huh?
So that was this in honor of the Marine Corps birthday, right? Our
Okay.
245th birthday. We're big into pull-ups. That's
Cool.
what we
Okay.
do.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
doing 10 pull-ups was nothing. So what I did was I
Mm.
added weight. I put the little weight
I
But
saw
and then I
that.
added
Yeah.
like 35 pounds, right? So
Mm.
nobody called me out. Because if I got up there and I did 10 pull-ups, honestly, the Marines, they'd be calling me out. Why you only did 10?
Oh.
We got to do 21 for the test. You know, you only did 10. So I'm like, so
Yeah,
that's where
yeah,
that
yeah.
come from. But no,
I
I've
got you.
always been very athletic. I'm a slender guy. I always had a slender build. So I ran
Okay.
track always.
Track,
One of
track,
the
got
first
it.
competitions that I competed in elementary school was track and field.
Mm.
So I've always, you know, early on, again, Miss Lowry got me involved in those type of things.
Mhm.
And I fell in love with basketball too around that same time, third,
Oh,
fourth
you're a
grade.
baller,
So
huh?
been playing
Barack
ball.
Obama, if you're listening, Charles E. Jackson might want to give you a run for your money, Mr. Barack.
I don't have the shot that he has, but my
Okay.
defense has gotten me on just about
Okay.
every team that I've tried out for. And then they saw the offensive skill sets come into
Nice,
play. But
nice.
yeah, I've
Okay.
always been a defender on that ball. Coached youth basketball here in the military as well. So that's a passion for mine. So,
Nice.
you know, kind of fast forward to high school. I mean, going back to high school, I was in the band. So I'm a musician. I play the
What you play?
drums.
Ah,
I play the drums. Any
nice.
percussion instrument, you know, that's how I got my scholarship into
Mhm.
college, which we
I
may
played
go
the
into.
sax. I was
Okay.
in marching band.
Nice, man. We got a saxophone sitting downstairs collecting dust because my boys, this is what he do. He play it for about 2-3 minutes and
2-3
he blowing
minutes.
with the cheeks out. And then he said he
Yeah.
got a headache. I said, it's because you're not blowing in it right, man.
You got to blow this way,
You
but
got to
not
blow this
that
way
way.
down and tuck that lip in, right?
You remember
But
that? Yeah.
yeah, I'm a musician, man. I love music.
Awesome.
I played basketball, ran track a little bit in high school as well.
Okay.
I didn't do my best because by the time I got to high school, I discovered that I was popular, kind of had my way with the women. So I think
Yep.
during that time, 9th and 10th,
Forget
I
about it.
really got off track and, you know, with
Mhm.
grades and stuff like that. Everything else
Yeah.
became more important in school.
Yeah.
But again, the teacher comes around, 10th, 11th grade, Mr. Pikett, my band director, and boy, my world was turned upside down, man. He called you Doc, and he was like, "Hey, Doc, come here." And if he saw you out of class or he saw you doing
Yeah.
something you want, he would get on you. And right now, here
Right.
we are 15, 20 years later. He's still a mentor who I
That's
email and I
awesome.
call. If I have an event going on, I come out and he supports me, Dr. Jerry Pikett. So again, the influence that you have on
Sure.
children's lives or the people's lives as a leader in
Yeah.
any type of position, it could be detrimental depending on how you handle it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I was headed again about to go down another wrong path as far as
Yeah.
even my academics and the stuff that I was starting to get into. And he
Mhm.
redirected me. So, but I had an enjoyable high school, man. Mainland High School, Daytona Beach, Florida, where Vince Carter went. So
Okay.
Vince
You down
left.
with Vince.
Yeah,
Okay. Shout
yeah.
out to Vince Carter. No
Vince
doubt.
Carter, man. And
Got your classmate here. Holler at him.
I saw him and Tony Bobbitt and other guys playing ball and
Nice.
Tim Pickett. And, you know, Vince
Nice.
became our hero in
Yeah,
Daytona
man.
Beach for sure.
That's
Absolutely.
great. So it's funny, even though he played in Toronto,
Mhm.
he can't. His school is originally from. He's from Florida. You saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's great, man.
Yeah, man.
That's incredible, man.
He left Daytona Beach and went to Canada to put his arm in the net for us, right?
Remember that first man? Where were you at on that day when he put his arm in the net, man?
I was watching. I was kind of, you know, still trying to understand the impact that he was having on the
Yeah.
game and on
Sure,
the dunk
sure.
contest in general, but
Yeah.
the impact that he was having.
It was a
But
lot.
I
It was electric. It was electric energy. I couldn't even explain it
Mhm.
during that
Mhm.
time. It was like you just knew. It's almost like you knew he was gonna do something phenomenal, but you just didn't know, and you're wondering if is he making this up or
As
like
he go or what?
is it planned? You know, it didn't the arming in that thing. I just turned the TV off. I was like, what are you gonna do after that? What do you do after that, Charles? I mean,
And
come
and
on.
he had already had 3 amazing dunks prior
Dunks.
to that one, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was it, man.
Yeah,
As he
that was
hung there for those seconds just hanging, everybody was like, hats off,
yeah,
lights
Jack
off.
Miller going crazy.
It's over, man.
That was wild. So when so we talk about high school. Did you who was your biggest influence that made you go into the military? Where did that come from?
Yeah. So I had no aspirations of going into the military.
Hmm,
After high school, I got a music scholarship to Bethune-Cookman College, marching
nice.
Wildcats, right? To
Shout
go
out.
and stomp on some FAMU Rattlers.
Yeah.
So I go to Bethune-Cookman
Let's go get
College,
some
man.
comments.
Yeah, you'll get some comments. Sorry. they was like, why you had that guy on the show? So I go to Bethune-Cookman College marching Wildcats, and I'm in for a couple years. End up losing my music scholarship, and so I started working full time.
Got it.
That instilled in me work ethics. I've been working. I had a lawn business when I was 10 years old.
Oh, okay.
Three neighbors' yards I was cutting. Now, mind you, and this is my dad is no longer with us, but he was cutting those yards for about $30 a week. When I would cut them, they would only give me 10. And I discovered this as an adult, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm getting 10 and you getting 30 for the same. We doing the same job.
Same exact job.
I had to learn. I had what he had. But anyway. So I've been working all my life. So after college didn't work out for those first 2 years.
Okay.
I went and I started working full time, and I'm working full time. And then one day I went to sleep, Fred. And honestly, up until this point, I knew about the Army, I knew about the Navy, and I knew a little bit about the Air Force, and didn't know much about the Marine Corps, and didn't know much about the Coast Guard, and didn't want to go into the military, really.
I got it. Okay, got you.
Nobody in my family had served. I later on found out that my grandfather did serve in the Army.
In the Army, got it.
And I had a cousin that was in the Air Force. So I had a dream one night that I was talking to this recruiter about the military, and I remember his uniform. I saw the blood stripes on his trousers. I saw the black coat with the shiny buttons on it. Saw the bald head, and I'm sitting here. I'm talking to him about the military, and I'm thinking it was Army. But then throughout this conversation that I'm having in this dream, he said the Marine Corps. And he was like, in the Marine Corps, we're the best. And that's how the dream went. And I woke up from that dream, and I'm like, the Marine Corps? What is that? You know, a little kid from the projects. I didn't know what the Marine Corps was. Right. So I grabbed a phone book, because at the time that's what we had. I grabbed a phone book the next day. The yellow pages.
Sorry, y'all. We did have phone books. That was our Google.
I didn't Google it. Grab the yellow pages the next day.
The big ad or small ad?
It was the big thick one. The one that, you know, your parents would probably use to hit you if you got it.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm about 24 years old at this point. I grab the yellow pages, and I look up for Marine Corps recruiter. Find a page. I find a number. I call that number, and I'm on the phone, and a Staff Sergeant Willie Richardson picks up, again, who became a mentor and became part of that. Like, man, I can't give God enough credit, man, for how he's orchestrated these particular relationships and these encounters in my life.
Yes.
Staff Sergeant Willie Richardson picks up the phone, and if anybody else had picked up that phone, I wouldn't have gone to the Marine Corps.
Really?
He almost looked like you, Fred. Bald head, real strong facial features, real confident man. You know, once I did meet him, but very professional. He was a musician. He was a black man that I saw in his uniform, and I was like, I guess I can say mesmerized by him, his demeanor and what he represented.
Yeah.
And
like his aura.
First 5 minutes, I was drawn into that. As I'm sitting down in his office now, a day or two later, and we're talking about the Marine Corps, and they all have a story why you joined. My father served, or I always wanted to go in the military. And I literally told him, I said, I had this dream, honestly. Come find out he was a believer. And he was like, hold up. Are you saying that you had a dream? Blah, blah. And so we're able to now have that spiritual connection. He was a musician. We had that connection. He was a father, wife with 2 sons. So now we had that connection. Before you know it, man, 3 months later, I'm off to go serve in the Marine Corps, as passionate about doing it as if it was something I wanted to do all my life, because I know the point of divine encounters.
That probably blew his mind.
He literally, honestly, we both at some point had tears in our eyes, man.
That's not, you don't hear that kind of story. You hear, like what you said, the pressure of my dad, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, now I know. I just felt what you were just describing. How can you not love a God that does something like that?
Come on.
That could take us a while. That's incredible. So how was your experience with it? How long did you serve?
I served for 10 years on active duty.
Did you say 10 years?
10 on active duty, and then 3 in the reserves.
Wow.
And I had it was the best.
Thank you, brother. My goodness.
It was an honor, man. An honor and a pleasure, and it was fun. It was a dangerous job being in the military, and it's stressful and being away from your family so much. You know, for training purposes, missions, and if you get deployed.
Mhm.
I was never sent overseas.
Okay.
All my assignments were stateside,
Got it.
up and down the East Coast, a little bit West Coast, but still being separated from your family, the strain and the pressure of serving in the military.
Yeah.
I felt it, but man, it was so worth it. It was so rewarding. Every
What was
morning
the,
I got up
skill
and put
that you
my
or your
so I went
profession.
in as an administrator, so kind of
Got it.
almost equated to like a human resource professional.
Got it. Okay.
And then I transitioned over to be a security manager and
Mm.
started managing our like classified works and documents and
Yes.
systems and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I did a lot of collateral, what they would call collateral duty. So I learned to drive Humvees. I was a
Mm.
human and trainer where, if you get rolled over in a Humvee, what do you do? How do you get out? So I was
Mm.
able to teach those things. I was a operation stress control and readiness trainer,
Mm.
teaching our service members how to deal with stress once they come back from overseas. And so
Mm.
I had various jobs like that throughout my time where, again, so much of that now plays into what I do now
Yeah.
outside of the military, that what I saw coming from little old Daytona Beach and the exposure that that gave me with what my
Mhm.
life could be. Because honestly, I saw crime every night I laid down. When you lay down to go to sleep in Daytona, and it may be a little bit different now, you know you're going to hear tires screeching,
Mm.
followed by more tires screeching, followed by sirens, sometimes followed by gunshots, followed by helicopters. That
Mm.
was almost every night,
Every
right?
night.
And so that's what I grew up around. There's times where we get knocks on the door because the police feel like the individual they're looking for is in our shed in the backyard, which my mom would
Mm.
say, tell my dad, I done told you to tear that thing down. You got people. And sure enough, they go out there and the person is hiding in our shed running from the police. And so the
Whoa.
life that I thought, again, that's why I said I wrestled with identity and what I was
Yeah.
going to be and get, I thought that that's all was there to offer. But then I
Right.
go into the Marine Corps and I get to travel and see the world, see other
Mm.
countries. I mean, states here, and hear about other countries and that
Yeah.
exposure. See
Yeah.
how other people are living and what they're pursuing. It changed me a
Wow.
great deal.
That is it. So that
And
tremendous growth on
mhm,
your side.
mhm,
That going
absolutely.
from the spiritual mom, going from the mechanic dad who gets
Mhm.
$30 for the grass and you get 10, to be able to, learn how to control yourself or handle
Right.
yourself when you get run over a Humvee. That
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
that that and as I walk you through that, dude, I can really see exactly why and how you were able to, number one, be blessed with a phenomenal wife, but also the accountability that the military puts you under, the accountability that being a son of someone who's a spiritual person, the accountability of a hard worker. That seems to be like a common thread that I can
Mm,
see that is
mhm.
in your life that allows you to not only hold yourself accountable, but to hold others accountable. And then that heart for people, that heart and that love for helping people that naturally came from your dad,
Mhm.
it seems to be that is part of what your blueprint is right now, based on the blueprint you came up with. Is that kind of
Yeah,
right?
that's a good assessment, man. You can change professions and you got a lot of skills in you. I was sitting there like, man, this my brother's deep. God dog. I felt that.
Hello. It's called practice. It's trying to practice this thing out, man. But that's kind
But
of
yeah, absolutely. And then going into the Marine Corps specifically increased those tangible traits exponentially,
got
because
it.
that's what the Marine Corps is about: honor, courage, commitment. That's what we live by, we die by. Honor,
Got it.
courage, commitment to what? The things that matter, which
Yeah.
is usually not yourself, it's others. So in the Marine Corps, it's that person left or right, because if we're going to combat, they got to be trusting that you're going to have their back. You're willing to lay down your life for them, but you're
Mhm.
also willing to lay down your life for our families and friends who are back home, going about their jobs, riding their bicycles while we're over there fighting wars. So that honor, courage, commitment, it was something that, from a spiritual standpoint, my mom instilled with just other words.
Yep.
Also, my dad,
Sure.
and his heart for service. But then the Marine Corps just it brought
Came
it
all
out,
together.
man, to a degree where I'm telling you, man, I came out this hard, charging, hardcore, fire breathing, hard worker, dedicated man of integrity and character, man. That's
That's
just
it.
ready for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Agile, adaptile, whatever we got to do, I'm ready, man.
How's those skills now help you to deal with crises in your life?
Mhm. It gives you this sense of two things that we say in the Marine Corps is when stuff hits the fan, you know, and they don't say stuff. I'm saying stuff, clean version. When stuff hits the fan,
No doubt.
you know, it's fight or flight, right?
Sure.
And we've survived as a human species,
Yeah.
believe it or not, based on the fight or flight. Back when
Absolutely.
cavemen and out, a saber-tooth tiger comes your way, they're trying to figure out fight
Yeah.
or flight, right? And so that's
That's
how
right.
we survived. Things
Sure.
that were dangerous to us, we got the heck out of Dodge,
That's
or
right.
we either had to stand and
Oh, we
face
didn't
it.
look around like the movies. Oh, what's going on over there?
What is happening over there? Right.
Exactly.
Two
We gone.
reactions. I don't know
It's
where the
right.
third one come from.
It's definitely scripted in the movie, buddy, because it's not us. Trust me.
Yeah, man. So it's that mentality now, that sort of be ready, right? Be
Yeah.
ready and be available, is kind of where I'm at now, and it allows me to, as a leader and as a leader developer, but one who is responsible for families, one
Mhm.
who's responsible for, you know, job responsibilities, my personal endeavors, that sense of accountability and stuff, understanding that, you know, if I don't do it, who
Mm.
will? Like,
Yeah.
and somebody may come behind me and do it, but I don't want to take that chance. I don't want to take that risk. I want to
Sure.
do what I can,
Yeah.
to be able to go and do those things. So
And that's what I like about, you know, the title I came with is leaders go first. And that's so important. What does a leader, because we hear that thrown around a lot. And, you know, I found out what a leadership was in the last, I don't know. I found I had a lot of leadership qualities, but
mhm.
I found out through a lot of memes. You know, you see the meme with the guy going like this, go that way, and then you say, let's go that way. What does a leadership mean to you?
Leadership is that endeavor of taking concepts, ideas, and people further than they could go on their own.
Mhm.
And through that, inherent with that is empowering, right? So when I think about a leader, when I think about what leadership is, it's that endeavor of taking people, concepts, ideas further, right? And empowering others to kind of grow and mold into what, you know, they are designed and destined to be.
Right.
And to do that, talking about leaders go first, you have to have first put yourself through some type of process to
Come on.
learn and grow,
That's right.
hold yourself to some type of accountability, and have a sense of integrity and character yourself first, and have
Mhm.
studied and put in the hours and put in the work to then say, this is how you can get here.
Mhm.
This is how you can make this become what you're trying to make it.
Yeah.
You understand? And
Yeah.
as you do that, you get, yeah, you have vision, and leaders need to cast a vision, but leaders have to be willing to have put in the necessary work
Yeah.
that they're trying to get somebody or inspire somebody else to put in.
Yeah.
You
That
have to have gone through that, and you have to demonstrate it and show it consistently.
yeah.
There was times where in the Marine Corps we would have to show up for PT 0630 for unit PT, meaning
Wow.
we're going to do our physical exercise together 0630. Same. I would be out there at 0530, put in my own personal work and get it in.
Mm.
So by the time the troops came out that I'm getting ready to lead,
Come
I'm
on.
warmed up. I'm ready to go. The field is set up. I've laid out everything that they need. We already know what we're getting ready to do. And some of them would show up early and they would see me out there PTing prior to them.
Mhm.
And they was like, you already PT an hour prior to, and now you about to PT with us.
Yeah, right.
So then when I tell them, push, run harder, run faster, 10 more pull-ups, don't stop, you got more in you, they can think back, man, he was out here an hour before me. He's
Right.
done most of this already, because I need to make sure I can do the exercises before I tell them to
No
do
doubt.
it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I've gotten these old bones up. And then when they want to quit, I believe that was in the back of their head, that he's not
Mhm.
telling me to do something that he hasn't already done on
Right.
his own.
Right. I've heard it said that it's typically kind of like, you know how you go on a trip. Not a lot of people doing trips right now, but
No.
once people are going on trips, question is, when you go on a trip, do you want a travel agent to tell you where to go, or you want a tour guide?
Tour
Travel
guide.
agent would tell you where to go, and that's a nice place, nice place. But when they get there, they're gonna say, where's the first place we're gonna go? I don't know. I just know how to get here. But the tour guide, they know where not to go. They know where the holes is at, the good places is at. So That's what I'm kind of hearing. You want to
Yeah,
be
man.
you in leadership. You want to be the tour guide because trust me, uh, the travel agents would tell you to go places that they've never been before.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Mm-hmm.
tour guide will always let you know because they've already been there,
There you
and
go.
they'll also save you money, save you time, and save you from riding up in the wrong hood when you ain't
There
supposed
you go.
to be in the resort. So that's kind
Absolutely.
of what I got, and that whole thing, and that's what I really based on this show. It's time to lead because it's you really can't lead anybody unless you first lead yourself, and that's the hardest
Mm-hmm.
part. That's the hardest part
Yeah.
is that we can always give everybody what we think they should do
Mm-hmm.
from the stands, from the
Yeah,
sideline,
man. From the sideline.
but being in the game, that's really the deal. So you have at first, my wife first told me about this and phenomenal show live. So you had with your incredible wife about relationships and how passionate you guys are. First of all, talk about your phenomenal wife. How'd y'all meet and how'd you come up with that incredible show that was impacting thousands of people?
Yeah, man.
Zanetta, I got a name
My
right
wife.
this time. I got it
Me and
right this time.
yeah, which she appreciates. Me and Zonette, we met now, like I say, 14 years ago. We've been married.
14
So we
years.
met.
Ooh, I got to give you
This,
some right
yeah, man.
there. These kids out
Appreciate
here, 14 minutes, they ready to change stories already.
That's it, bro. They gonna turn it back in.
They gonna turn it
They gonna
back
turn it
in.
back in. They go before their family and friends
Oh
and God, and
man.
they say, "To death do us part."
Mm,
I do. And then
yes.
the minute that turbulence hit, they don't, and they
Ooh.
want to go to the judge to get out
Mm,
of it.
they
Like,
wanna
wait
get
a
out of
minute, you just said you're gonna go to God, but that's a whole nother
that's a
story.
whole nother, yeah, we're talking
But
about down nut show, right?
we met 14 years ago. She
Nice.
had just come back. The quick version, she had just come back from Korea, where she was teaching overseas,
Oh wow.
educating English. And again, I was at that point, I was working full time.
Sure.
And while she's transitioning, she's working at Walmart, bro. And
All right. Shout
she's
out
at
to
the
Walmart.
cashier at Walmart, man. Now I was in Walmart for unbecoming reasons. I'm becoming of a gentleman. I'm scoping out the scene. I'm single. And in Daytona, you had the mall, then you had Walmart. And that
You
was like
gotta be kidding me. Don't you sit here and tell me
that was like the 24-hour mall, the Walmart world. So that's where we went any time of night. You're gonna run into people you know. You and I can have a conversation like
true.
this in the middle of the aisle at Walmart at
Very
any
true.
time because you're gonna run into people. But
Very
you
true.
also could, find
Sure.
your next date, whatever. So I'm in there kind of shopping, but not shopping. She's
Sure.
working the cash register. I walk by and I look her way and she smiles at me. And I smile back at her. Our eyes connect. Literally, like in the movies, some movies,
Yeah.
they portray love as being kind of superficial and you know those moments. But literally, bro, when I say all I saw was her and her smile in that moment
Mm.
for about 2 seconds while I walked by her register, and it gripped me. I was like, whoa, what was that?
That was real right there.
I needed a couple days to kind of get the courage to go back,
Yeah.
which I did, and I went through her line, and I
What'd you get? What'd you pick
picked up
up?
a pack of gum at the
Pack of
register.
I was going to go there. I was gonna see the gum or a Snicker bar.
Only so I could hand her my card with my number on it because I had a business card too. Because I was doing outside sales.
You was
So I was
ready.
like,
You was ready.
I'm impressed
Sure.
with the business card, young black professional. I handed her
That's
my
it.
business card.
Oh yeah.
And she saw it and literally she smiled and she was kind of
Nice.
impressed that I handed her a business card.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like just give it to her. I was like, as I introduced myself and kind of shook her hand, I handed her the card at the same time.
Nice.
Real smooth.
That
It took her a
was
week to call me though, and I didn't go back to Walmart until she did. So she
good
calls
for
me.
her.
She
Good
didn't
for
take too easy,
her.
right?
Sonette, go
When I got
ahead.
yeah, playing hard to get. Come on over here, homie. We already had our moment.
That was
Come
a
on.
move. You know that was a move, Charles. You know that was a move.
Yeah, so she made me wait. I go back after she finally calls
Yep.
and asked me, if I wanted to hang out, and I wasn't able to that day. So I go back to Walmart. I take my sister with me, kind of like my buffer, because she and I look a lot alike, and a lot of people ask if we're twins. So I knew that would be a conversation starter.
Nice.
And she
Yeah.
sure enough asked, "Are you guys twins?" Like, no.
Mhm.
And so we had that moment, and I asked her out. So we go out. Fred, man, I almost wrecked it because at the time we were doing pretty good. I got on our first date, got some music playing, got TVs in the car, R&B videos, and got her a gift when I picked her up, all romantic, and she's feeling it. We get out of the car though, and all of a sudden her demeanor changes, and the date wasn't all that good. I later found out she had an experience with the church where she was devoted, grew up just like me,
No
church
doubt.
home, devoted, singing in choir, doing missions, like all in. But the
Mhm.
church that she went to had a bad experience, and she kind of had walked away from her faith.
Sure.
So I found out she saw my Bible on the backseat of the car and didn't
Ouch.
want anything to do with me after that because she was like, I don't
Mm.
want no church boy. So
Those props, man.
man, I thought it
That
was gonna be a plus.
right. That was
Who
supposed to that
knows?
was who knew,
The
right?
Bible almost messed up my marriage.
Unbelievable. Wow,
But
look at
anyways,
that.
I called her afterwards because I'm determined. I felt there was
Sure.
something not right. But anyway, I sent her a text and I called her and we ended up talking on the phone till like 4 in the morning that night.
Beautiful.
Kept going out. And here we are like 14 years
Good,
later.
man. 14 years, man. What's the secret, bro?
So what I would definitely say has kept us is one, we understood that we were two imperfect beings trying to love one another perfectly.
Sure.
Any advice that I would give a person who is looking for marriage or looking for that mate, don't look for the person that is perfect. Look for the person that will love you perfectly. Meaning
Mhm.
that person that is going to accept you for the good, the bad, the ugly, the messiness, all who you are in totality and not try to change who God has made you. Yeah, you want compatibility, but compatibility don't mean you both like dogs or you both like walks. It's
Sure.
those morals, those the spiritual connection, that type of compatibility. So
Mhm.
faith, friendship, fun, and forgiveness is what definitely has kept us together. There was times where I didn't know what to do with this woman, but God will give me the wisdom that I need to navigate that relationship early on. When we thought about calling it quits around year 3,
Mhm.
God gave me what I needed to be able to keep it together and not give up. And so here we are now. Our platform, marriage and family platform, you before
Yes.
me,
Yes. Talk
and
about
and
that.
and and that's what it is, man. You before me, we've learned, and it's built on the premise of Philippians 2:13. It
Yeah.
says, in all things, do nothing out of selfish ambitions, but in all things consider others above yourselves. And
Yes.
we take that, and that's the foundation for our marriage. I'm always considering her above myself. And you would say, well, Charles, if you're doing that, aren't you lacking? Don't you get the short end of the stick? No, because Zanette is doing the same thing. In
Right.
all things, she is considering me above
Mm.
herself. And if we're both doing it, neither one of us will lack anything that we need for it.
That's right. I got it. Wow. That just helped me, man, because I'm telling you, it's like I my my wife and I, we are learning each other in the last 5 years. We just got married a year ago. We previously married,
Hmm.
and that's the one thing that I've learned, and I'm still learning because when I have 5 children from previous marriage, and
Hmm.
my wife has to help me to transition from I'm a dad's dad. I'm I'm that dad,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like I'm the dad that said I ain't date nobody while my kids is small, and I don't
Yeah,
care who. That was me. I don't care
yeah.
what they thought. I didn't date. It was about me and the kids. And so once my kids got to an age where I wasn't allowed on a field trip no more, I had to transition a little bit. It was, they go over there, Dad. It was one of those situations after we've been doing this for 9 years. You gonna diss me anyway? That
I'm
was.
getting dropped. I'm getting dropped like a bad habit, they
I
say.
read a book in Hershey Park. Who does that? I read a book in Hershey Park. She left me over there. Anyway, but once I
Wow.
got to that point where my daughter was growing up and I realized, and my last child rather, I did it with all of them. I got 3 girls, 2 boys.
Okay.
My wife's been helping me to transition, that I can stop decreasing.
Mm,
Because all I was
wow.
doing was just decreasing. I
Yeah,
didn't buy a house. I didn't have a certain amount of cars. I walked.
yeah.
I
Wow.
did what I had to do. I caught buses and stuff like
Mhm,
that,
mhm.
just so I didn't wanna make the other side look like even though I coulda did it at any time,
Absolutely,
just so
brother.
I could I decreased. And my wife says, "You know what? You're a great father, and now it's time for you to be a great man, be a great
Mm,
person, and you can
wow.
do that." And she's been kinda helping me through that transition because when you sacrificing so much because you're dealing with a co-parent situation. You're just trying to make sure you don't make waves and all that
Yeah, yeah.
you know, you kind of a lot of things that people would say. that couldn't be me, bro.
Right.
That couldn't be me. I
And that's why
listen,
it's not them.
right. That's my
That's why
point.
it's not them.
My focus was always, even if it doesn't work out, it doesn't have to be ugly.
Wow.
That's the only thing I had to. The only had only left to show my kids, because yeah, you're gonna meet somebody that's gonna work out, but if it doesn't work out, the man really has
Mhm.
the cards,
Yeah.
because a woman will multiply what you give her. So if you give her heaven, she gonna multiply to give it back to you. But
Yeah.
if you give her hell, she
Absolutely.
gonna multiply it and give it back to you.
Man, it's
So
so
that's
good.
why it's strong that you before me relationships, you're helping people to understand it. And when I seen it, you guys are talking real. Like this is real stuff. Sometimes I don't get it right, as opposed to saying it's just bells and roses all the time and
Come
everything's great.
Come on.
Can you see my smile? You see this? Come here, baby.
We're
Give
so
me a call.
happy.
We're
Give me a
just,
kiss right now on camera. Right.
yeah, this right now. She's behind the camera right now. Answer another question, honey. Come on. So anyway, but I loved what you guys were doing. I was so inspired, and I even told my wife. I said I watched a couple of things. I told my wife, I said they're motivating us. We were watching the thing before we got married and learned a lot of stuff even
Mhm.
before we got married. So I just thank you for you and Zaynep for putting that together and being diligent and being real and doing some great phenomenal thing. I'm sure. How's the impact been when you guys started doing that, and then how did that transition into what she's doing with her show as well, and then this
Mhm.
new show you got coming going out right now that I'm really loving on the race relations that's going on right now that we can wrap.
Yeah, man. So the impact, I can't talk enough to the impact. There
Mm,
was times where, and we know we started this to give and to serve and to help others kind of navigate those waters that God has brought us through,
yeah,
right? And so I've had the spiritual training to
sure.
be a good and effective husband. I've also studied marriage and family in the collegiate level, right, to get
Nice.
the education piece.
Yes.
And as we went down this journey, there was times where as we saw it building and growing into now a business or a nonprofit, there was times where there was no monetary return.
Mhm.
And initially people would say, well, do you really want to be doing that? But when I can count now 5 couples, and there's more than 5, but 5 in particular that really stand out and resonate with me because when they came to us, Fred, the man said, "I'm done. I'm only here because she drugged me here, but I
Mm,
already know that this is over,
mm,
and this is where we part ways. Unless you work some kind of miracle, we're done." Fast forward now, married still, child, new career,
mhm.
thriving in their personal careers, their
Wow.
marriages, and everything.
Wow.
Couples separated and divorced, not even together anymore, going their separate ways, come to us, and now
Mm.
remarried, a second child. You see what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Yeah,
Gone
man.
through abusive relationships and separate and able to navigate that and come back
Mm,
after months apart. Like those are the things when somebody comes and sit down across from you where there's a lot, you're not, and they're in tears time and time again. And they're pouring out their hearts to you about all of the struggles surrounding these relationships. And you're sitting there and I'm sitting there praying, one, for
mm,
God to give us what to say and what to do. And even though we have our curriculum that we're going to take them through, there's
mm.
still something specific that he needs to pull out in them personally and individually, because we only can be as healthy together as we are individually. So there's
Yes.
things individually that we have to work on.
Yeah.
And they're telling you that they're ready to walk away. And some couples, honestly, they may end up not staying together,
Mhm.
right? And that's the decision that they make. Our job, my goal is not to make a person think that they should stay married. Now, I
Yeah.
have my personal beliefs about it, but they have to make their own decision. My job is once they say they want to stay married to help them do that.
Yes.
But when I think about the implications about their families, their children, who either will see their parents work it out and come to have a happy marriage, and it now influences them to when they
Mm.
go through a tough time to say, what did my mom and dad do? What did I see in them? And then all of a sudden they've created generations of marriages that work out and stick
Yes.
and stay.
Mhm.
I don't need to have the money in the bank to justify or
Yes.
to give me the gratification from doing what we do. That's the impact that we're having. When I see that type of growth, when previous clients call me up and say, "Man, you was right. I changed careers, and boy, I've
Mm.
never been as happier as I am now. That job was weighing on me." Like
Yeah.
those are the impacts that we're having through that, man. While we're supposed to be doing premarital coaching or marital
Mm.
coaching, we're saving generations of families.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no price that you can put on that, Charles. There's
Mhm.
just none. I mean, the like you said, you're changing you know, it remind me of them old Back to the Future movies. It's like you
Mhm.
change destiny
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
of people's generations.
Yeah.
I mean, humans are being born as a result of the work that you did.
Correct.
That are going
Correct.
that is just incredible. That is such phenomenal work, man. And the fact that you guys can do that with people, even though and share what you're currently going through yourselves.
Yeah.
It's just incredible, man. There's no more realer piece.
You cannot give them the notebook version of this thing because they've already seen that that's not true. They've
That's
seen
not
that
true. That's
that's not
right.
true.
That's
But
not
they
true.
come to us and they say, "We see something in you. The way
Mhm,
you are either on camera, the way you somebody else referred us or whatever it is, they see something in you, right?"
mhm.
Which and you and Ayana may get this. That the more you grow as a couple, believe
Yes.
me, there are so many people that are drawn to healthy marriages and relationships
Mm,
than are drawn to like leaders and influential people. But trust me, because relationships dictate so much of our lives, and that it's a big deal to people
yeah,
to see a healthy marriage and a healthy couple,
yeah.
right? And so when they come to us and say, "Hey, we want that," because they see us loving on one another and holding hands, or they see us have a disagreement, but we don't call each other names, we don't storm out, we don't blow up on one another,
That's
and they
right.
say they want that, I say, "Okay, come."
Mhm.
And then I show them some puzzle pieces,
There you
and they're
go.
like, "Wait, what's that?" Well, we got to put this picture that you see of me and my wife
Mhm.
together for you two, piece by piece.
Right. Right.
And in
Wow.
order to do that, I got to show them how many times I do get upset with her,
Mhm.
how many
Mhm.
times I don't always understand what she's trying to communicate to me,
Mhm.
how many times that that she's not fulfilled because I'm not meeting her love, filling up her love bank. And
Sure,
I got to
sure.
take them through that time where I wanted to walk away. I got to take
Mhm.
them through some of the thoughts that I have at night that I haven't, like, and that is what is empowering.
Got it.
That is what is uplifting, and that is what is encouraging. Because
Mm.
if they just saw that good and tried to aspire to that without seeing that part of the process, they would be discouraged
Yeah,
and from
yeah.
the beginning and
They'll
wouldn't be
fail.
able to get there.
Yeah, they're gonna fail in a wrong way, not a fail forward. They're gonna fail backwards because
Mm.
it's not gonna be a real. My wife talks about what we do with our kids. You guys got how many kids you got?
We got 2 boys,
Two
11 and
boys. All
13.
right, all right. Um, and l- l- we talk about the picture we try to paint for our kids, whether it's a
Mhm.
great picture or whether it's not a good picture, or like for my instance, I was trying to create a sense of normalcy in the midst of dysfunction.
Gotcha.
So, but even though it may be okay for a little bit, eventually um, you rob them of the skills, the life skills that they're going to need when it happens to them, or if it happens to them, because they're going to think, okay, well, it's kind of my son felt, oh, my dad was, he got separated and him and my mom were cool. So I'm going to do this with my girls and things of that nature. But he doesn't understand. It's a whole situation with what I did and what you did. Your situation is going to be different. My thing's
Mhm.
not perfect, but it was the best that I can do. Your
Right.
situation got to be different, but don't compare it to what I'm doing, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
you're gonna think that it's it's the way. It's not
It's the
the
way.
way. It's a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
a way. It's never the way. My way, like you said, my puzzle is
Mhm.
here. Yours is
Mhm.
different.
Yeah, man,
And
but
with our children, it is it's extremely important to be, yes, real with the children and explain things. And I was watching your video the other day, we'll get that in a second, on you got to be able to let them know what it really is,
Mhm.
but present it in a way that's palatable. And at the same time, it's truth.
Yeah.
So you guys having these beautiful sons, even in the midst of what you guys are going through as a couple, what lessons do you feel are have the most effect on the kids when it comes to showing them the relationships that you guys have?
Mm. Yeah. It's a question that I uh, I want to ask them, and I'm actually going to
That's
do a
good.
segment,
Okay.
and I'm going to ask them. But there's times that my wife would sort of ask that question that you just asked me in a way
Sure.
to the boys. My
Yep.
oldest one especially.
How old is he?
He's 13.
13. Okay, gotcha. Okay,
And
cool.
usually he'll say something along the lines of, "Well, dad is always thinking about you. I know that dad is always thinking about you." And and she'll say that. She's like, "Your son always say, 'Dad, mom, don't you realize daddy is always trying to make you happy?'
Sure.
Like if he's doing something, like you gave him a hard time about that, but he was just trying to make you happy." Like I think he gets that. There's
He's
probably
a
other stuff that
third
he get,
voice.
but I know he gets that. And he
That's
even becomes my
interesting.
advocate. He'll
Yeah.
say, "Do you know dad was just trying to make you happy?"
Wow.
And he's right, bro. When I tell you that when you become when you come to that place that you're connected with your spouse so much so that their happiness is really a pleasure for you to see,
That's good.
right? That's where I'm at, and my son sees that,
That's great.
and to me, that's so humbling. But if he can just get that lesson that I'm serving his mother,
My goodness.
like when I don't say what I want to say, it's because I'm still serving her.
Serving it. Right.
Right?
That's yes.
So if
That's
she
good.
fuss at me because I washed the dishes, but I didn't quite put them in the dishwasher rack the way she would, and I
Yeah.
created a little mess and there's water on the floor and I miss cleaning it up and she come by
Yeah.
and fuss at me about it, he'll look at me sometimes like, "But you just washed all the dishes." She not even thankful about that, and he's
Make sure.
processing those type of things.
Yeah. Make sure you give him Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. You gotta give him that.
Okay.
Great book. I forget it, but that is a great book because because you two guys see one thing
Right.
that this is done, but from the other side, if you're in my household, I do the dishes, right? But I'll do the dishes. I'll throw I'm washing and drying and rinsing all at the same time, and I took it to the side. That's how I grew up. My wife is
Yeah.
used to 2 sinks.
Okay. Okay.
There's a wash sink and there's another
And there's
sink, and
another
then
thing. Yep.
there's another situation. Then I might rinse it real quick, and then I put it in there, but it might be one speck or something that may be on the back of the dish that I missed. So even though I said it's done,
Yeah.
it's not done. So
That's funny.
the difference
So
is.
we're different in that sense too, because I'm used to a sink for washing, a sink for rinsing, and
Oh,
I
okay,
dry them in the rack and then I put them up. My
got
wife,
it.
she'll sit there and wash them all in one sink,
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like, and so that's her style, or drop them
That's
over in the
me.
dishwasher.
Yeah.
So
The thing is now, but the thing is, it's a way and the way, right?
yeah, man.
My wife will explain to me, and she'll say, "Why would you?" And this is me. Why would you wash and dry in the same thing? The water's dirty,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, you know what it is, but this is my blueprint. This is so that's why I think marriage and relationships is important to be able to have that method of communication and
Hmm.
understanding and frustration because even though sometimes you're frustrated, you still learn from it. You still learn.
Absolutely.
You
We
may not
call it,
acknowledge
yeah,
it. What do you call that?
exactly. We call it
Got it.
cherish versus change. So we have a little segment that we run around Valentine's Day, and it's
Okay.
called the Cherish versus Change Love Challenge because we're trying to get you to find something that may have even drove you crazy about your spouse or
Nice.
something that, is totally different from you and find a way to see the value and the worth in it.
True.
And then each day you kind of find one of those things. It runs about 5 days and you write it down in a journal. So say
Nice.
it's the way your wife does this and it used to bother you, or maybe, whatever. But you find a way to cherish that and not try and
Mhm.
change it.
That's
We do
good.
that for about 5 days, and it's good. And that's how
That's
a
awesome.
lot of couples have come to us because they want us to change something about their spouse.
Yeah,
Now,
they
there are
have.
bad habits that you can have that is going to destroy your relationship, and we attack those. But
Sure.
we're not trying to change the essence of the person. We
Mhm,
think we need to change the essence of the person if we're going to be happy in the relationship. We have to
mhm.
cherish that.
Got to cherish that. So you listen, we could talk all day about that. And I appreciate you going there because I think that the listeners are getting a lot of so much value from this, especially in relationships and leadership. So I want to switch it up real quick and I'm gonna wrap up
Yeah,
on this. Just real chicken. I want to actually, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to bring you back on the show, man, another day.
man, I would be honored for it.
All
I
right,
would be
cool,
honored.
cool.
Absolutely.
So talk to me about the shift that you did because I know you were doing a couple leadership lives, and then all of a sudden you shifted with the race talks uncut, talking race relations, social divides, and accepting differences. And I watched the video yesterday, and I saw what you talked about, and I actually love the fact because you are a true leader. Because when leaders have leadership intuition, and they're talking about the blue paper, and they need to talk about this bug that's in front of them, you made the shift. So talk about how that shift was and what you
Yeah,
came up with
man.
based on what our country's been going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, man, I know that leadership is in me, and a leadership developer. That's who I am. And leadership covers all facets for me. I
Sure.
have leadership development for men, leadership development within the context of your community, leadership within the context of the marketplace as a family man, and so all things leadership, that's my space. And
Okay.
so we were running the virtual summit when Crisis and Courage collide, and then all of a sudden we had all of the civil unrest,
Mhm.
right? And we saw the protests, we saw stuff being burned, we saw all of the hate, jargon, and memes starting to come across social media, and how our country was just being torn apart at the seams. And I'm sitting back and I'm watching it, hurting. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on in America?
Mm.
What's going on with us as a people? The United States is now so divided that our differences and the things that used to make us strong because we were able to come to some type of agreement are now creating not just separation, but hostility and animosity.
Mm.
And I saw all of the division out there, and then the corona hit, and then we had to
Yeah.
separate and divide even more. And it made it easier for people to kind of talk trash because they can do it from social media, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
a friend of mine was driving down the street and he was called the N-word. Now,
Mm.
before, that wouldn't have really happened, but
No,
it
you're
was
right.
boiling and building up. Like,
Mm.
I might have felt a certain way about a
Sure.
black man or a white man, but I probably wouldn't articulate it. But
Right.
now this sense of confidence to speak up and speak our mind. And I saw that, and I was sitting back, and God said, in times of crisis, leaders have to do a couple things. They have to relate relationally, they have to research and ready themselves,
Mm.
they have to cling to their convictions, they have to cultivate courage and fortify teams.
Mm.
And in all of that, that's creating unity. And
Sure.
God said, unity, we need to unite. We need to unite.
Yes.
And I said, we are a race driven country and we can't hide it anymore. We have to have those courageous conversations. I said,
Yes.
God, what can I do? And God literally said, it's time to have some talks. Well,
Mm.
what type of talks? Race talks, uncut, unscripted, get down to the nitty gritty, because
Yeah.
there's so much misinformation within the context of races,
Mhm.
blacks and whites and Latinx and Asian American. There's so much misinformation. There's been a lot of misrepresentation of a certain people group in this country. And I said,
Yes.
what do we need to do? Well, we need to rewrite that narrative, and it starts with passionate discussions. It starts with coming into an environment not to judge, not to throw stones, but to seek understanding.
Yes.
Because that which we don't understand, Fred, we're going to shun, we're going to avoid, or we're going to outright hate it. And
Yes.
that's what I was seeing. People who were working together, all of a sudden they work into the room, and I experienced this. I
Mm.
walked into a room where I had been in several times, and there was tension in the room, and the
Mm.
relationships were different because we're trying to figure out how to navigate this time.
Mm.
So I just wanted to create an environment where I can create that space
Yeah.
where my education and my training in the middle of writing the book has taken me down that path of exploring our history here in America, 600 plus years,
Yeah.
to see how we got here, so that I can speak to the change that we need, and not talk about it from a place of just standing back saying, oh, it looks to be this way. No, I've done the research.
That's right.
I've dove into the books and I've inundated myself with race relations in this country. And now I created this platform so that we can have Race Talks Uncut, so that we can learn and we can grow and build the America that we really want to see. The problem is we've never seen it. We've
Mm,
never had the equity that we're trying to see. We've never had the unity that we're calling for.
right.
We had
Right.
the civil rights and we had laws and legislations put in place
Yeah.
on paper. But the true change and the equity that we're trying to see, we've actually never seen it in this country.
Mhm.
And that's why it's so difficult. And so I wanted to create that space for us.
I think that's incredible. I think it's needed. I think it's relevant. I think it's right on time, man. And it's so important because the elephant is in the room. He has been in the room, and now the fact that you were bringing this up, it allows us to be able to talk about these things. And we know on the pre-interview we're talking about, the challenges that I was having, and you
Mhm.
even helped me with that. And so I appreciate you doing this. I think that you're more than qualified to be able to do this. And I
Well,
think that
thank you.
anybody who believes in values, who believes in character, who believes in, you know, letting this, kind of letting the air out of this balloon,
Mhm.
before it pops, because obviously maybe it's already popped.
Right,
And I'm
right.
I'm I'm kind of like you. There are certain things that I would see, you know, I was damaged in 1978 when I saw Roots. Okay, I'm just gonna put it like this. I've been watching Sesame Street for 7 years. I've been watching all these different shows, and everybody's Gomer Pyle and with the Waltons, and there was nothing wrong with it. I didn't see nothing wrong with it. And then one
Right,
day,
right.
one day I see Roots, and next thing you know, I'm in school, mean facing and mean mugging, right? Fourth grade, right? But
Right.
after a while, I started realizing over the course of my career, you know, we are human beings, but at the same time,
Right.
there has been and I told my wife, when George Floyd and stuff was going on, I kept saying to myself, somebody is giving the green light on this stuff.
Mhm.
Back to Trayvon Martin. Who keeps authorizing this? Why aren't they stopping this? Like
Mhm.
somebody's saying, "Go ahead and do what you got to do. I got your back." I just kept
Right.
thinking, you don't just keep doing something if the head, right,
Yeah.
it puts it out. But if the head puts it out, like we have seen the stand back and stand by thing, what happens
Right.
is this is the kind of stuff that you get. So I'm glad that we're gonna be able to look forward. I'm looking forward to being able to check out Race Talks Uncut, and
Yeah.
also it's gonna be live on Thursdays
Live on Thursdays,
for
man.
7 p.m.
I go
on
on my
your
Facebook page and my
Facebook
Instagram
page.
page simultaneously.
Okay.
Mhm.
Tell me what that, if people want to get a hold of you,
Yeah.
regarding this particular, it's going to be incredible, man.
Yeah.
So us listen, Race Talks Uncut,
Uncut. Yeah, man.
talking
So we go
race
live on
relations.
Instagram on Thursdays,
Okay,
at officially Charles Jackson. That's my handle on social media.
got it.
So if you find me there, you'll be able to connect with us at officially Charles Jackson, or also on our Relational Leadership Network page. So Relational Leadership, which is at Relational Leaders on Facebook, and you'll be able to stay up to breast of what's going on. But I do appreciate the support. I do appreciate this opportunity. Like you say, man, those you're talking about systems, Fred.
Yeah,
It's
man.
systems that have allowed this to go on, right? And that's what we're up against.
Mhm.
We're up against systems, and systems are hard to break down. That's why it takes all of us. It takes everybody who is playing a part in the system to be able to bring it down and uproot it. And so that's why these conversations are important.
Absolutely. So, I'm gonna wrap up with this last question. If someone is interested in being able to, um, get into a position to be able to express themselves, but they're kind of like holding back because they don't want to offend their friends or family or
Mhm.
work colleagues. What kind of advice would you give them?
That's a great question. A great question, because so many of us, and I've even wrestled with it myself,
Sure.
right? So many of us are trying to navigate that sort of heart tug that I want to do something or need to do something, but there are so many implications. My job, my family. I'm a sworn officer, or I was sworn to this. This is what you have to do.
Mm.
One, you have to look at your platform. Like like we each have a platform, believe it or not. Like you and I have online platforms.
Right.
But then within the context of our daily lives, we all have a platform, a gift, or an ability that we can utilize. So if you're a writer, go write your Congress, send them an anonymous letter, right? Or write your city officials about an issue. Like use your ability to write. If you got a podcast, start a show and talk about it. Bring folks on that can speak to it in a healthy way, not derogatory, not to cast stones, not to tear people down, but to lift up. Like use that gift. If your platform is your social media following, every now and then share a positive quote that's related to race and relationships and equity in this country, or share a historical quote or fact on your social media platform. Like that's in our inner circles. Of course, at the table with your family, start there. In your circles with your friends, start there. Use the platform that you have coupled with your gifts and your abilities. If you have the ability to organize, go to your community, and then the next time they have a town hall, organize a group of people to say, hey, we're going to put up signs, or we're going to go stand out this weekend for this. Use your platform and use your gifts courageously, understanding that when you do the right thing for the right reasons, nature will take care of you. And the repercussions that we are sometimes fearing, they don't even come. And the reward of following that passion and doing the right thing for the right reasons will be so much more rewarding when you actually step out and do it, compared to sitting there and wrestling with it and staying, restless in that restless state and trying to figure out if there's something that you should step out and do. Because honestly, in this, I really had to get to this point where this was so important for not just myself, but for the world in general, that if it cost me a few things, a few relationships that I hope it didn't, or a few opportunities, those are the ones that I didn't want or need anyways. And I had to be resolved in that. And it took me months to get there. But that's kind of where I'm at now, because I understand the severity of it. Because I look at my sons and the world that I want them to live in, and their sons, right? And I look at opportunities, Fred, that you and I want to have that we might not be able to have right now with these current systems.
True.
And if we just continue to settle, or if we continue to allow that type of fear to hold us back, then we'll stay operating in systems that are not really set up for us to excel at the highest levels.
Man, you said a mouthful. I appreciate you. That is Charles Edward Jackson II, speaker, leadership developer, social activist, founder of the Relational Leadership Network. You are listening to the It's Time to Lead podcast, where leaders come together to grow and get better. And also check out his brand new, I would say, podcast live episode 2. I just saw it the other day on November 18th. Temperature check. Let's keep the conversation going. Race talks uncut, talking race relations, social divides, and accepting differences. Is going to be on live on Thursdays. You can check him out on Instagram at officially Charles Jackson. Facebook is facebook.com, of course, Charles.Jackson the second, which is the Charles.Jackson with the I and the I for the second, .77. Brother, this has been one of the best interviews I've done in a very long time, and I am just grateful for you. Thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you, man. I'm so happy that we were able to connect. This is amazing. I've seen you and watched you from afar, man. And when I got the call, trust me, I was smiling from ear to ear, but I was also like, man, it's time to leave podcast. Let's go. Your energy, what you bring to the table, what you bring out, the gifting that you're operating in, man. I've seen it, and just truly happy to be a part of this. So thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, man. My wife, Iona, and I, we send you our love to you and Zanette, and we appreciate you, man. And tell her I said, hey, and keep pushing. All right. And yes, I'll be shooting this MP3 and MP4 over to you, my friend. This is a way of my saying thank you, and use it, and how you going to use it. And I'll let you know when the episode airs, man. All right.
Thanks, my brother.
Hey, man, I talk to you. God bless you, bro.
All right. Bye now. Be blessed.